When it comes to off-road racing, the Range Rover Velar is probably not a model that springs to mind straight away, but the one behind me is no off-the-shelf Range Rover. We're here with Morgan Clark from Morgan Clark Designs to talk about this work of art. So Morgan, for a start, what is this actually designed for? Is this for competition use or for going out on the weekends and blasting through the desert for fun?
Definitely a play car. It's more than capable of running at a high-end race pace for a long duration of time. But it's 100% a play car. It's a plated car, so it would be something that's streetable, a daily driver. And it's really just, it's like a hyper-performance off-road car.
If we talk about the differences between an out-and-out competition car and this being a play car, what are some of the key differences? Are we just talking sort of comfort and usability for the driver and occupants?
Definitely that. Sealed cabin, pressurized cabin, air conditioning.
So you're not getting full of dust as you're driving through the dunes?
Zero. It's kind of a windows up car. So when you get in there, you will exit the car in the same condition as you would, and you wouldn't maybe be as sweaty. You won't have elements in your face. So there's a lot more creature comfort. It's the same with the infotainment system. Like everything Range Rover will still work. So it should feel like a
Range Rover on steroids?
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm guessing when you come into this project, you've essentially got a clean sheet of paper. You could do anything. So what were the sort of design criteria that you were working towards? What were you trying to achieve?
I think we have constraints versus wheelbase, track width, travel numbers, and packaging.
Okay.
Then it's really an open canvas. And then we have the constraints of the SUV and the body. And all the styling that's followed, every single panel and everything that's been constructed here is based off functionality first. And then we twist design into it. And the design premise is really not inspiration from anything else. It's just inspiration from what the car already wants, especially the exterior of the Velar.
There's a few things I want to unpack there in a bit more detail. So for a start, the Velar as a platform to build from maybe wouldn't be the one that would spring to mind, but essentially everything else we see, trophy trucks, etc., are based on a pickup truck. So why the luxury SUV instead of the conventional pickup?
It's really the lines and the packaging. It's a smaller car. So if you were going to compare it to an off-road race car, it would be like an unlimited buggy, which is a little smaller than a trophy truck. The wheelbase is smaller. It's 118. The track width is similar. It's 91. But it's really just, you're not leaving much Range Rover. So it's taking styling cues of what the end goal is going to be. And when you look at the Range Rover Velar, it's got this tension and these lines pulling to the back, and it looks like someone almost sketched it on a notepad. So when you add elements of functionality of an off-road car to that, where the tires are bigger, the wheel openings are bigger, it's wider, it's got this incredible presence. And I'm an SUV guy and a wagon guy, so I would always lean to this over any pickup truck.
Okay. Next thing you mentioned is that everything's been built with function in mind first off. But when I look at it, there's a lot of things where I look and think, there's a lot of design flair that's come into this that's maybe over and above just it doing its job. Basically, you've made something not only functions, but looks amazing. So how do you sort of balance that form versus function when you're designing components for it?
Our brand and our value is designer fabrication. I kind of claim designer fabrication. I just go for functionality, and then I know where I can skew this stuff and twist it, because I think that's where you get the wins. The wins come from design, because it's easy to just build something clean and nice, but to stylize it and to have it all speak the same language is where we really shine.
Now, behind me, we've got a lot of sheet metal work, which, kind of, for me, is exactly what I was talking about there. It's over and above just doing the job. It's very intricate. It looks like there's hundreds of hours in it. And I'm sort of thinking to myself, that's all well and good. You're showing off what you can do, which makes sense. However, I'd also be thinking, what if something gets damaged? These are all, I'm assuming, bespoke one-off components. Do you sort of consider, if the car or the truck gets, damaged, what it's going to take to actually repair those sections?
There's definitely consideration in that. This is a prototype. The next 6 that we build are all of the tin work will be splashed and will run carbon. So it'll be a replaceable item. A lot of the tin work, when you start to look at it, is inboard of the chassis. So if you did have some kind of a wreck, a lot of the perimeter tubes are going to be the culprit of taking all the impact versus crunching into all the sheet metal, especially stuff in the window openings and the door openings and in the enclosure in the back. Some of the stuff in the front, no matter what, when you have a big heavy car and you roll at 120,
it's going to do some damage.
Anything that's not chassis is going to say bye and leave the chat. So it is what it is.
Now, we've had you on our podcast, so I've already got a bit of background on this, and for people who want to learn more afterwards, they go and listen to the podcast. We'll link to that in the description. However, one of the interesting aspects for me that came out of this, a lot of people building similar vehicles that I talk to, everything's done in CAD. Now, you have a slightly different stance on this. You're not doing everything in CAD. Give us your take on pros and cons of CAD versus doing it freehand like you're doing it.
CAD is definitely great for reproduction, for manufacturing. A lot of the stuff we build is a bespoke one-off car. Our clients expect that. There's CAD integration in parts that matter. So any kind of the suspension assemblies, things like that, those are all drawn up, they're cycled, they're reproducible. If we need to repair something, something takes damage. But there's also a battle here where building this stuff custom, if we're only building one, the guys making a template and working a bandsaw and working an abrasive and sanding are going to be the guy that's going on the computer and that's taking measurements or that's tracing a pattern and then is processing that and then programming that and then that's getting laser or water cut and then you're prepping that and then you're CNC breaking that. There is a race there that when you're only doing one or two of something is pretty competitive.
So what you're saying there, essentially the time that is necessary at the start to develop the whole truck in CAD before you start making it, that's so time consuming that for you it doesn't really make sense on a one-off, but maybe for a production it would?
Totally. It totally does. Or if we're building parts that are, we're going to sell a lot of. The other thing is this is a prototype, like I say, so this is going to go through a reverse engineering phase. And we're going to reverse engineer every single thing on it. We'll strip it in phases and get all our data. And then I'll have an engineer go through it in SolidWorks and we'll revise all this stuff to be manufacturable so we can produce the rest.
Okay, so one of the advantages I see when it comes to using CAD is basically validating that, when the suspension is articulating, when you're at full lock in the suspension and you get a massive bump, that you're going to be pretty confident you're not going to have any contact between parts. Now, obviously, it's not impossible to do that without CAD. People have been doing it for hundreds of years. How much of an issue is it and how are you dealing with that problem?
We do most of our suspension stuff in CAD. So like the definitely the front, like I designed all the front and that's all billet CNC now. That's all been in CAD. We scanned everything originally and then we cycle it and we verify dimensions or we'll do strength analysis and we'll get all that data. And it's also keeping it very true. Some of this has a little leeway where, it's built on a chassis table, but no matter what, when you're welding it, things are going to move. But all the suspension and all the critical swinging parts are all CAD, all scanned, verifying clearance, bump, lock, all the stuff.
And then do you build into that a jig so that you can confirm that all those pickup points remain exactly where you want them?
If that's a part that needs to be welded, for sure. If it's a machine part...
Well, that's obviously, yeah. Okay, the engine combination as well. Again, I guess you could have put anything you want in this. There's no rule book. So it's got a Lamborghini V10, which isn't a bad choice. You've added 2 turbos to it as well. Again, I approve. What was the sort of engine shortlist that you got down to, or was it always going to be that Lamborghini V10?
It wasn't. It was originally going to be a big, like a 427 LS, 1,000 horsepower, 1,200 horsepower. We had this. My client is, Ryan is building 2 cars with me that are similar setups, and we had that motor shelved. And we originally bid off doing this with the LS, and then he said, will that fit? Can you verify dimensions? And that was actually 5 inches shorter lengthwise, just it's bigger everywhere else. And so it just made more sense to put that in there, and it makes it unique, and that's what we do.
Okay, so twin turbos on a Lamborghini V10. I mean, there's plenty of people drag racing these with upwards of 2,000 wheel horsepower and just about anything in between. What sort of power level are you targeting with this?
It's a stage 3 underground racing motor, so it's fully built. It came out of a Huracan, so it's already good for the power. It's twin 68s. Precision said that this is 2,000 wheel all day. So that's the plan.
That begs the question, how much power do you need out in the desert?
When you're running paddles, you can put that power down.
So these are sand paddles, so they do actually have a lot of grip in sand.
Maximum grip. And it on the freeway, I think there is a line where it's too much power, but I think to the expectation, this is a hyper performance car. So if this can get on the freeway at 50 miles an hour, then it can just get on and bring the wheels up in the front to 100 something. That's the goal.
That wouldn't be a bad goal. Let's talk about the drivetrain that you need to build into something to support 2,000 wheel horsepower.
Albins 5-speed Synchromesh gearbox. We didn't run a sequential. This is still going to be a daily driven or a street car. So you want that nice, synchro style shifting. And it's also a driving experience where there's nothing like a manual car. And this doesn't need to be a dog box, straight cut, nasty thing, especially when you're driving the sequential on a street. It's not optimal.
No, I think a lot of people who haven't lived day to day with a sequential dog engagement gearbox don't understand that they do get pretty tiring, particularly in stop-start traffic. So Synchromesh, basically an OE style shift, nice and easy, but you obviously have to use the clutch. Most off-road racing vehicles I see tend to go towards an automatic transmission. So I'm interested, why did you stick to the manual?
The manual is just for the driving experience of the car. It's independent rear suspension, like it's just a small car. Comparatively to an off-road, like a big truck on 40s that's 6,500 pounds or something, this is just built for the experience. It's the concept, and that's even why we call it a Dakar prototype. It's not a Dakar race car. It's just it's the spirit that you want to feel. So I think all around, the visceral sensory overload of everything, twin turbos, flames out the back, sealed cab, 2,000 wheel horsepower, manual car, 3 pedals, clutch, like that's what you want. You just want to be immersed in this insane experience.
I think we're also losing that with modern cars. Less and less we're seeing manual transmissions now. It's probably going to be a bit of a lost art, dare I say it. Now, you've said that this is a prototype. I'm just interested, looking at it, there's still probably a fair bit of work to go. How many hours are into this now, and sort of when it's actually finished and being tested in the desert, how many hours total do you think will be into it?
4,000. I think we're 2,000 right now.
So you're halfway.
Yeah, and that's in a collective 7.5 month period. The reason I say another 2,000 is just because of that final assembly and taking the whole thing apart, getting it all powder coated, painting everything, putting it all back together, getting all the bolts proper. There's a lot, and on the there's a plumbing side of this thing too.
Yeah, it's that last sort of 10 to 20% is the hours that go into it are very high compared to the rest of the build. So I can kind of understand that. You say that you're going to produce this as a production item. I mean, how big is the market for something like this? Are the people sort of falling them over themselves to get a 2,000 wheel horsepower off-road capable SUV?
I would spec the engine. I want to be prepared to take one on the chin with this and the powertrain. So Ryan and I are willing to take risk with that, but really powertrain can go down to like a 632 GM big block, which would just be 1,000 horsepower, brutal big block power.
Just 1,000 horsepower.
Well, that's really solid, and that's something you can beat on heavy, and we know that. The demand here, it's a limited production car, so I'm only going to do 7 no matter what. And if there's a demand for 20, there's going to be 7. I think this target market here is going to be for Qatar and UAE, Dubai. This is an excellent car for that application.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. I don't know if it's sort of commercially sensitive information, but can you give us a sort of a ballpark of how much money we're going to have to lay down to buy one of these off you?
$725 to $1 million.
I mean, I guessed $1 million. That probably makes a lot of sense. The attention to detail and all of the componentry in it, yeah, that probably all stacks up. Look, Morgan, great to actually see this truck in person. I've been following the build on your Instagram, but seeing it in person, really doesn't do justice on Instagram. So thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
If you like that video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already a subscriber, make sure you're subscribed. We release a new video every week. And if you like free stuff, we've got a great deal for you. Click the link in the description to claim your free spot to our next live lesson.